we're back, and we just finished watching 2020's Framing Britney Spears, a documentary in conjunction with FX and Hulu that's currently streaming on Hulu, brought to you by the New York Times. It briefly goes over sort of the initial fame and rise of the pop star and how her, I guess, disintegration became national sport for many. We've invited the lovely and amazing Uncle Leo to review this with us today. Hey, Uncle Leo.
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine.
So I'll get impressions. Why don't you start?
Well, the funny thing was I had a few people over yesterday, and I was talking about this upcoming podcast I was doing with you. And the first thing that someone had said is like, why are you bothering? Like, why are we so consumed with that story in particular? And in a way, I kind of agreed with him, but after I'd seen the Britney story, it was very interesting because I didn't really care about her, but I did care about how bad I felt for her after I had seen that. And that was on a human level,
right.
Whether she was either clinically bipolar or whatever her situation was, it just, the further it got through, the sadder it seemed. And then the implication for me was, do we really care about anybody? Like either that, or if she wasn't who she was, would we care at all? That's the thing. He was like, oh, why do you even care about that? It's like, for me, it was like what it means. Crazy. I don't want to say the wrong word, but what is she? Is she not? Is she just a victim of something else? Or like, I don't know. Fortunately, one of the people that was over is a clinical social worker. So she was shedding a lot of light of the kind of the like legalities of it.
Sure.
To get to actually achieve that status of having someone have your conservatorship is not easy by law. So there had to be a lot of things in place for that to happen. And I was like, oh, everything was like the way it was, at least the point of view of this seemed like Britney's a victim, poor Britney, poor Britney, poor Britney. Mm-hmm. But we were not looking at, did she need something like this?
Right. I think for sure she did, right? I mean, she spiraled out of control super fast, it feels like, at least in the telling of the documentary.
I agree, but was it fast? And that's the thing when my friend noticed that, a lot of things have to be in place for a conservatorship to happen like that. So there was a lot of stuff, at least she, in her expertise, was like a lot of stuff had to be in place before it all hit, where her father was actually picked or chosen to be her conservator, and he was kind of just like there,
right? Which
put other things into question. Which was, there was a lot of questions I have. I was like, where was her mother in all this? As far as what was her mother? Not everybody blamed the mother, but if she was so close to her and she was so distant from her dad, all of a sudden the dad comes in and the dad gets conservatorship, and the courts have to do that. It's not like he, from what I gather, it's not like he reached for this.
Yeah.
He was chosen to do this. Mm-hmm. And why was the mother bypassed? Or even, and I found out she had a brother watching this.
Right.
I didn't know she had a brother. I knew she had a sister, right. But I didn't know. There was a lot of stuff that was very unclear. Not so much before I spoke to my friend, but after I spoke to my friend, because it looked like it had a big point of view. And then all of a sudden, when I spoke to someone who was part of that the social worker world, and she was like, "No, you really have to look at this from a clinical perspective. Is like a lot of crap has to be in place for them to do something like that to her." Yeah. Or for her, which it was implied it was for her.
Yeah.
And everything else surrounding this might have been, again, what the public does is they take sides and they demonize her. So it was sad. A lot of it was sad, but then I'm thinking, what were the implications of calling me crazy, and do I need conservatorship, and what happens if that happens? Is she really in that position? Does she really need stuff like this, and does she need it anymore? And It was like, I don't know. Like, I'm glad we're talking about this because I simply do not know.
Yeah,
what to say about this.
Watching it as a parent, it left me very sad because you, as I would hope as a parent, you'd never want to see your child kind of implode like this to the level where they're globally vilified, pretty much, right? I mean, she was fodder for late night talk show host jokes and skits and just constantly under the microscope. I mean, she couldn't even get coffee without like 1,000 bulbs going off in her face. So, I mean, that scrutiny.
It seemed like in the beginning she was better adept at
Handling
going with the flow of it all, but then it just became
too much.
Yeah.
Right. And here's a girl who's not sophisticated enough to maneuver this very treacherous terrain that has a lot of sharks in it, because you have the industry, right, where I guess you're only as good as your last album or whatever, or your body of work, and the constant need from, I guess, fans to know every iota about her personal life. I mean, as a documentary, I felt like this was kind of lackluster. I feel like there could have been a bigger deep dive on this, but again, this was an hour and 14 minutes. It could have been longer. They could have done more with it. It would have been interesting to see it from, or hear from Britney's own perspective, but I guess the legalities of getting her in front of a microphone might be tough. I don't know how this conservative...
Not only that, but they also sort of, at the end, they put that little note that said, oh, we tried to reach out to her. We don't know if those attempts were ever relayed to her.
So that part is like creepy too, because it's like you have this woman who's basically a money-making machine who's being oppressed in a way, which is weird because you don't think of the pop celebrity as being in an oppressed role. But the thing that I found interesting about this documentary was the addressing of the misogyny, right? The addressing of mental health. Because I think as a society, we fail miserably in this country to even discuss it or broach it as a subject. I mean, as soon as we see the cracks, we don't really reach out to that person in good faith. We're all about like, oh, how far will this fall? How far will this person fall? Let me get my popcorn and be ready, on the ready. And I feel like that was part of her experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially with her, there was like this almost like this little, it was like glee at seeing her suffer. Like you said, jokes and late night talk show hosts. What was it? Family Feud categories.
Oh my God, that was terrible. Yeah.
Is it really any wonder she may have lost her mind? It seems losing your mind in that case is kind of
what would happen.
An expected thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how does someone gain conservatorship? Like that's the trick. Like, my favorite part of the movie, my favorite part of the documentary was where she's about to relaunch her Las Vegas gig. She had a very successful gig, and then she has this second one, and all the pomp and circumstances, and this bitch
just walks through.
Played everyone. And the day after, that lawyer quit because he knew she ain't gonna shake her money maker. She ain't gonna whatever barely sing if she sang. None of it. And that I knew this is over. Like that's when I realized that you do have power over yourself, and a lot of it has to do with no, or stop.
Right.
And when did she switch that on? What made her do that?
I guess
how far is far?
I guess something that you said when we were watching, which is basically the light bulb must have gone into
her head. She figured it out that none of this continues without her. It's all based upon her physically performing.
Yeah.
And I guess at some point, like you said, Lenny, at some point she just figured it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, they kept saying, "Oh, she loves performing. She loves performing," and maybe she did. Maybe she kept doing that. Maybe that blinded her to the fact that I'm in this real crap situation. how do I get out of it? And not seeing the answers right in front of your face, just stop performing, because she was making what, $1 million a week?
A week.
That's
God
nuts.
damn it! What do I do?
People, no one, and like that scumbag lawyer is just like, oh, they're making $1 million a week. I better get a raise.
Yeah.
What do I do? Nothing.
Yeah.
I literally do nothing.
Nothing. To get
I'd like a
more
raise for doing nothing, please.
She just walked.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That was brilliant, though.
but that was, to me, that's when I realized she was not
Crazy.
Or I don't even like to use that word. It just seems like where she was back in control of her destiny.
Right?
You know,
maybe she got her clarity back.
And even when she was interviewed, another one where she was interviewed about the time when she was on Star Search, and you already knew I knew that she had her wherewithal. It was like, they didn't ask the boy, the 10-year-old boy, whether he had a girlfriend or not.
Right.
And it just seemed like, and she brought that up. It was like, that's what you ask me? You ask a 9-year-old whether she has a boyfriend now, but you didn't ask the boy anything.
Yeah.
So even
further from that, in the video, I guess she's interviewed by a European journalist, and he's like, I want to talk to you about your breasts. I was like, I actually went like this. I was like, that was cringy.
That really was. Yeah.
Like, seriously, this is a young girl. I mean, she came into her own. She was in her teens when she was up and coming. And full disclosure, I personally was never a huge Britney person. I mean, I guess she made adequate pop music. I mean, a lot of it's filtered through and stayed, I guess, in the pop culture history books, but I never understood it. I think I was more into like new wave. Like, I was into Depeche Mode, unlike some people who don't know anything about music.
bullshit, because that was a whole. We're talking about 2 different decades. So second, okay?
You're aging yourself.
Wait, no, it wasn't. Depeche Mode was out in the 90s. Absolutely. What are you talking about?
barely.
Depeche Mode was big like when we were in high school.
In college.
No, she
Not so
started.
much.
Baby,
Britney
one more
Spears
time.
was later.
1999, it was #1.
Really?
Trust me, I know.
I know,
because
you read Billboard.
Shares Believe was #1 for that year, and Britney was like her and Christina just came out.
Yeah.
And so I actually I do have her first 3 CDs.
Okay, that's fine.
I did have her. No. I do have her first 3 CDs, and I did like them, but I liked it for what it was. It was easy. It was fun. It was silly. You know, there wasn't. And then by her 3rd album, I didn't like it, and then I didn't buy anything else. But I liked her, and people bought me as gifts her. Oh, you actually? I think I still have the Britney Spears watch. You bought me a Britney Spears watch, and I don't know where is it. Is it here? Did I throw them out? No, I still have it. Here it is. I still have it.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if it works. And it's from probably it's probably 2000.
Yeah.
And I still have this watch.
But you know what? It's funny, when I was watching the movie, and I mean, she was like one of the first celebrities to come out with like a perfume, right? Like, she became an industry.
Yeah, I think that was.
No, I think Debbie Gibson had a perfume. I think Debbie Gibson
But not
beat
like
her.
this. Like, I feel like Britney Spears was really the person that pushed like merchandising for some reason.
As a singer?
As a singer, yeah. Because then she also tried to do movies.
Yeah, she was in movies.
She was trying to do movies. She had her record career. I
She
mean, I
did
felt
all
like
that.
True, but she's like a different
She was 90
generation. She was a different
She was older
generation.
at that time, right?
Although kind of overlapping demographics, I would say. I think
Nah.
that was another thing that appealed about Britney Spears, like about this young, vibrant, in touch with her sexuality, but the way she was super sexualized by the media was kind of cringy and uncomfortable watching it now. It's weird because like I missed all of that stuff living through it. But now that I
No,
see
because
it,
we were so subject to it. It was always, now looking back at how we are now, we're a little more, whatever, selectively sensitive, depending on who you talk to or why. Whether she was voluntary, it was still part of a game, walking this line of innocent girl, you know, and even asked if she was a virgin. She lies and she says, I'm going to wait. You know, everybody's part of this game of keeping her walking this line of innocent slut. You know, you can't do both.
Yeah.
You can't do both. And it's like, if you try, it kills you.
Sure. Because her life isn't even her own. She's living a lie. She can't even be true. Or when can she be true? She certainly can't be true in front of the cameras because the expectation is so much different. And in her personal life, I'm hoping, again, I don't know too much about her, but I'm hoping that it's gotten better. She obviously didn't have successful relationships or long-lasting relationships.
But most women of that stature don't. We could name one.
That's a good question.
Madonna, no. Cher, no. Britney, no. I don't know what's up with Christina, who could sing. I don't know if she's at that stature.
She was married, but she's divorced now as well, right?
Right. So none of them really, even if you go down to like our current time now, like Ariana Grande is another one who's having in and out of relationships and marriages and stuff like that. You can't. It's not easy for them to meet someone on their level because they're a woman.
Is it? Question for you, since you brought that up. That's interesting. Do you think it's because of being female, or is it because of who they quote unquote are? Is it because, do you look at Britney Spears as a human being, or do you look at Britney Spears as an industry, as a product, as a thing? Same thing with Ariana Grande. I mean, do we see her as a person, or do we see her as an entity?
I would like to see her as a person, because when I search for her on YouTube and I see her relating to her mother, doing silly videos and things like that, I'd like to see her as that, or I'd like to feel like I see her in a human way. That's how I hope to see everyone, but I don't know if that's what mostly everybody does.
Do you think, like, another interesting thing about the documentary was when they were talking to that photographer. God, what did he say? And you and I both looked at each other and were like, that's bullshit. You just wanted a paycheck. You didn't care about her. Oh, when he said that she was like, well, she never said, please stop, please stop. Like, you have to be told to not harass this woman?
He said, leave us, he pointed out that when she asked them to leave her alone, she said, leave me alone today.
Right.
But that meant,
she was fair game.
She still wants us to bother her every other day.
That's such a predatory mindset.
It is, and I don't. The way that guy spoke about it, he acted like there was nothing predatory about it. It was. They were doing her a favor, and she was doing him a favor.
Right.
And that.
But yes, because that was already set up between them. Like I think she rode this thing as far as it could ride, and then it got out of control, and it was not navigated. This sort of paparazzi thing was not navigated at the time at all. Right.
You know, but then you have somebody like not too far into the future, somebody like Kim Kardashian, who is the master self-promoter, right? I mean, here is a woman who built her fame off of a sex tape and then parlayed that into decades worth of fame.
Yeah, but she's in total control.
She is.
We don't know nothing about her. We don't know. I don't know nothing about her. Like, she's, out of all those women in the family, she's the one I know the least about. Mm-hmm. Like, really. Mm-hmm. Like, what? I can't figure out how the hell she's so rich. But it was never navigated before. Like, the only thing I could think of is, like, maybe Beatlemania, like the maniacs, like, taking pictures. But then all of a sudden we get into the Madonna era when she was getting married and the helicopters were trying to get pictures. But it's not men that they're doing it. It's mostly the most vivid times I'm thinking women.
Yeah,
it is.
It's true. That's interesting. I never even thought of it that way either. And I feel like there's a ton of men celebrities that you can chase, but they don't really do that. They do target the women.
Could be that whole go back to the misogyny thing. You don't own men. Women traditionally are
seen as property.
Yeah.
And that was interesting because you pointed out in the when we were watching the documentary, Southern upbringing.
I mean, you heard what
the mindset,
the brother said. He's like, oh, our mother and my sister, they're very opinionated, and that's not really a good thing. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's not good that they have opinions and they want to have their own lives.
Yeah, they're not really
and then he's like backtracking. He's like, hamana.
Well, where was her mother in this whole thing? Like,
I don't know. That's another good question because it seemed like
not a blip. She said she was close to her mother.
Yeah.
Her father is like peripheral at best, and then all of a sudden he gets conservatorship and she doesn't. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
It's interesting.
Like, for real.
No, I completely agree. Like, I turned to Ray when we were watching it, and I was like, as a mother, if this was something that one of my kids would want to do, obviously one of us would need to be involved and go to, like, auditions and rehearsals and stuff like that. Like, they just left their kid to, like, what was she, a neighbor, that Felicia woman? She was like a family friend or something. I don't even know what she was.
It was like
it's like, oh, here, can you just chaperone my daughter?
To New York City.
Yeah.
To New York City.
Yeah.
To New York City.
I mean, yeah, what kind of parenting is that? It's like, oh, yeah, I have a younger child that I need to mind.
What was she, like 16, 17?
Yeah.
Like, she was young.
Yeah, she was super young.
Because we have to make sure the other daughter goes through school.
Right. And that's another interesting thing because didn't her sister sort of have a brief record career as well?
Yeah, nothing like
Nothing like Britney, but she had like an album or two, right? And then she got married and had a kid and she kind of faded into the woodwork.
She was on a TV show, wasn't she? And then she got pregnant. And then like it all...
That's right.
That was when like you're, oh my God, right? She's young
she
and
was
pregnant
16.
Yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, we don't want this.
Our little starlets don't get pregnant. Which is interesting because, were you watching that with me? The Judy Garland documentary where basically, back in the day when the studios basically owned their celebrities and they were like, well, you can't be pregnant. What?
Yeah. When you're done giving birth to that kid, we want you on set.
Yeah. Pronto.
Just get yourself cleaned up a bit.
So what did you feel most sad about hearing the story? Or let's talk about sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing again as a parent, just how this girl was. I keep referring to her as a girl. I mean, she's 39 years old. She's obviously a grown woman, but just as a young woman, the way she had to navigate this life without really any help from anyone. I found that incredibly sad. I found the fact that she was used as a punchline repeatedly incredibly sad. I found the fact that we continue to ignore cries of help and diminish the voices of mentally ill people. I found that truly, truly devastating. And I think it was also interesting that there were people that she didn't know, just fans, who started protesting and were like, I want to call attention to this thing because I feel like she's giving out these messages that no one's picking up, which I thought was, I can't believe they did a whole podcast around that. But I mean, there is obviously a show for everything.
There's a reason why QAnon exists, because people want a conspiracy.
Please, don't even with that.
People need a conspiracy. They need some hidden layer.
Yeah.
But only they could figure out.
Well, what did you think? What were your big takeaways and what didn't like?
I felt truly bad for her when she was being interviewed early on, and then she was just like, I can't. And that's where she broke down. I really felt that was genuine, where she was talking to a woman interviewer, and she's trying to explain her story, and the reporter was probably being just as predatory and being a woman. You know, and I just felt like she had nowhere to go. Like there was no one, and that must be truly scary. And that's when I felt like, oh, this is terrible. You know, it's just terrible. If she was clinically depressed or clinically bipolar, but a lot of legal things had to be in place.
Right.
And did they go to that extent to do that to her?
Well, I think so, right?
Crazy.
Because, I mean, I feel like the father I mean, I'm sure the intentions, but that was another thing that they brought up in the documentary that was interesting, like how he was never around, he had a drinking problem, this, that, and the other thing. All of a sudden, as she's imploding, he sort of steps up and becomes the parent and takes over her finances. But even now, 13 years later into this conservatorship, he's not in charge of her medical aspects of the conservatorship, but he sure as hell is on top of her finances. And
but
that I thought was interesting because it's like, does money corrupt? Does money change the family dynamics? And to this day, this woman, this grown woman, seems like she's in an abusive relationship because it's like she desperately doesn't want to be under the father's thumb for whatever reason. And I thought when they interviewed that lawyer, the Andrew, was it Streisand? I thought that was really interesting too. Like I would love to know more, like from his perspective and stuff like that. I mean, it felt like this was like a very incomplete piece.
It was strange that they wouldn't let her pick her own lawyer. They said, no, you can't be the lawyer. We have to give a
court-appointed lawyer. Like what? Yeah.
That was odd.
I mean, yeah.
Is he like inept? Does he have a bad record? Is he an ambulance chase? Like what was
it? Wasn't her. It wasn't him. It was her judgment. It was in question.
Right. Her judgment was in question.
Because she can pick, so then they pick somebody out there.
Court-appointed, yeah. Who maybe would have done like a half-ass job. So it's interesting how the intricacies of this case have played out and how people have sort of rallied behind her.
And that bothers me too, because it was like, kids, get a job. You know, there's other things you're feeding into this, even though you're trying to protect her. Mm-hmm. You're feeding into this as well. I mean, what's best for her is that when she walked off that stage and threw everybody under the bus, like it was just like she just kept walking and didn't stop. And then they opened the limo, and everybody just stood there. And then the day later, that lawyer quit. Yeah. He wanted a raise. I think that pushed her over the. You want a raise for what? That did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that guy
quit the next day.
Did nothing. Seriously.
He was like a paper pusher, basically.
He was the legal part of that whole deal. I mean, because the father's not a lawyer.
Sure.
It was just basically, we needed a lawyer, so you're in the spot. Guess what? You get a nice little paycheck
for doing nothing.
For doing nothing.
Yeah, basically.
And he's just like, you know what? That's pretty good, but I'd like more now.
So it begs the question how money has been, because again, in the documentary they talk about how does somebody generate $1 million a week? How do we get on that train, Len?
But you're asking me?
You write music, come on. I'm ready to write your coattails.
I'm 50 years old. You think they want to see this?
Of course they do. Look at you hot fox. Get out of here.
I don't even want to see this.
Get a belly shirt, you know.
Belly shirt on. See my belly shirt,
tidy shorts.
Couple of guys in the back doing
what the hell?
synchronized dance moves. There you go.
It's so Britney. I don't know about this Britney. I just didn't. I don't know if I cared. I felt bad, but it really seems like I understand it was told from her perspective, I guess. But I'm like, when my friend told me a lot of things have to be in place for that to happen.
Yes.
You know, and she fed everything. She put the baby on the lap. I mean, girl, you know.
Yeah.
You know the laws have changed. That's how my dad did it. But everybody's watching you.
Exactly. I mean, it's gotta be tough to live like that, though. That every action is so scrutinized. Like, you can't even slip up once. Like, the whole thing about how, what was it, the woman, the wife of the mayor or whoever of Maryland was like, if I could shoot her.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not that deep, girl. And seriously, why is Britney Spears a role model for your child? You should be the role model for your child.
Yeah, if you don't like her, don't let your kids
watch
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. That's it. End of story. It's not that difficult.
We didn't let our kids watch those horrible Disney shows. Didn't see my kids sneaking episodes of Jessie or some trash.
It just seems to be about so many things, and none of it is going to be solved. You know, just none of it. It's just horrible.
For sure. I mean, I think
like I even made the list: misogyny, mental health. And then the whole Justin Timberlake thing, where now you heard he apologized for throwing Janet Jackson and Britney Spears under the bus.
Yeah.
And you said he was a dirtbag. You said he was a scumbag. I'm like, why? If you got it, I would have never apologized.
Yeah.
If I didn't do nothing wrong, you ain't gonna fucking hear I'm sorry from me.
Right.
You won't.
Right.
You won't.
He's got to protect his fan base.
Nothing. Right? If I didn't do nothing wrong, I am not apologizing.
But you know what? That's interesting that you bring that up. Do you think he genuinely feels bad for his complicity in these events? Or is it he's trying to protect his cheddar because he's got that movie coming out?
He doesn't want to get canceled.
He doesn't want to get canceled.
He's already about to age out, like wildly quick. He's 40.
Yeah.
I don't even believe he lasted this long. You know, he's about to age out. And women age out
way sooner.
30.
Yeah.
You know, 30. Like Lady Gaga kind of just aged out, even though she's.
But I feel like she's built such love from her fan base, and
I'm talking easy money.
No, but even in a short time,
easy money, like easy money.
Yeah, but even
like she's doing.
Go ahead.
Oh my god, I keep cutting you off.
No, go. You go.
No, I let you go.
Well, I was gonna say, even in her short career, because it hasn't been a long career, she has built.
It has. It's 14 years. That's not short.
Well,
she started.
It's not long either. I don't think. Yeah, but still, I mean, I feel like she's in this brief span of time, she's built a distinct catalog of music that's really well done, and she is an excellent performer, a brilliant songwriter. And whenever you see her like live or whatever, I mean, she really throws her heart and soul into it. And I think that's another reason why.
But she's also not pretty. Like people think that Lady Gaga is not being pretty. Like I spoke to a friend who looks just like her, and I'm like, oh my god, you look like Lady Gaga, and she got upset.
Really?
And I said, you could totally double for her. Double, and she got upset. So Lady Gaga also knows she's not gorgeous, and fortunately for her, that worked in her favor because she could do anything she wants, and she doesn't have to rely on her sexuality as much.
Yeah.
Like Britney Spears, could Britney Spears get behind a piano? Could Britney Spears? She could kind of sing. You know, she's been trained to sing all these things. And the first big hit she gets is that Baby One More Time, where she's complete stereotype. Sure. She's a Catholic schoolgirl. We know every pedophile out there
is probably jerking off to
you know, but Lady Gaga, you didn't even know who she was, what she looked like until, you know, maybe her third hit.
Yeah. And well, that's also like kind of like Sia, right? The whole like crazy wig thing where you don't even see her face, you just see her mouth maybe, because she wants you to pay attention to the music.
Well, that's a whole other story. She's another one who's got issues too, but I love her.
I like her too.
Like this whole, if you compare Lady Gaga to Britney Spears, there's a big difference. Like I feel Britney Spears and Madonna are definitely in that same planet realm, and they kind of, there's a lot of parallels to their
story.
A lot of parallels, but Madonna just seemed to be in control all the way. Like she never let go of any control. Like she was almost paranoid about it. Like nothing was decided for her.
Right.
Maybe in the beginning.
Right.
And then all of a sudden she switched over to, she writes everything. Like she learned that trick right away.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, she wrote everything. She produced a lot of it. She got her own record company. Right. You know, that says something about, who she was and then how she figured it out. But Britney, I don't know if she was smart enough or...
Well, that's the thing.
I don't know.
I mean, from the documentary, don't you get that sense, like, here's this young woman who's navigating this terrain that she's really not familiar with, and none of her handlers, like that Felicia woman, she was just like a woman that was accompanying her. What did she know about, like, the business?
She was a babbling idiot. I was
Yeah.
like, that's the person you take... I would never have my daughter chaperoned by that idiot.
Right.
Oh
so
my
it's
God,
like,
and this and that. Like, I
Yeah,
remember this
I mean-
and I remember that. And I'm like, you're going to get jumped on the train.
yeah.
You're going to get on this A train and you're gone.
Yeah, but there's also like an innocence there, right? Because when she's showing the pictures, like, oh, this was when we were going from like England to France or France to England, and we were on the train and it was underground, under the water, and we thought that was the coolest thing. And I was like, there's like an innocence there. But once this young woman started becoming an industry through her music, through her fame, through the products, the ancillary stuff, then all of a sudden, like, all these vultures came. It feels like, and I don't know too much about it either, but I feel like the father too is almost. I don't have good feelings about him.
I think maybe in the difference between Britney Spears and the other artists you mentioned, and the fact that she became prey to all of this. It was sort of because I could see that being more easily done because, as far as I know, she was produced.
Who was produced?
Britney Spears.
Heavily.
She was produced. She wasn't writing any of these songs. She was basically, here's the song. This is how you're going to sing it. This is how you're going to dance to it. This is what you do. You are a very important tool in this machine, but you are a tool in this machine. Whereas these other artists that you've mentioned,
like Gaga
and Sia and all of them, they're writing the music.
Which is big, right?
They're producing the music. They're more in command of this.
Right.
So when it comes to other people after the fame hits, and these other people come in and they want to start latching their claws into them, they're not programmed to take it. Like, she was basically like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Whereas these other people are like, they see it and they're just like, who the hell are you? Go F yourself, dude.
Do you think that's a sign of the times or the fact that they have more control over their product? Because, like you said, like Sia and like Gaga write their own music, so that's a different component of the fame machine.
It could also be a sign of the times because let's look back when Spears became popular. That was music industry was controlled. There wasn't people. It wasn't like you got on YouTube, you sang a song, and suddenly you were an internet sensation, and you had,
million
followers, and you had clout to basically make these decisions. It was, oh, you want to be famous, eh? Come with me.
And she came out of the Disney machine.
Yes, another. It's all basically pre-programming. She was programmed from a super young age to do what she's told, to stand where she's supposed to stand, and to sing how we want you to sing. And if we don't like the way you sing, this guy in this booth over here is going to turn a few knobs and going to make you a hit.
Yeah.
You know? From the get-go, she was like that. And a person like that is going to be way more easily manipulated than somebody who
has ownership of their craft.
Just listen to some of these artists and the songs that they write and the songs that they sing. They have life experience. Mm-hmm. They know what they like. They've played what they like. They're making the stuff that they like.
Right.
And if it works, it works. Great. They become a huge monster hit. If it doesn't work,
no big
they fade off into obscurity.
Yeah.
You know? And it doesn't matter what they look like. Whatever. Like you said, Gaga's not conventionally beautiful. Britney Spears, she looked like a Barbie doll.
Sure.
All those people carrying like little cutouts of her.
They
look like superheroes. You know, she's completely makeup from the top of her head all the way down to her toes. Yeah. And because she was a product. And
so is that why it was easy to kind of browbeat this woman, because nobody saw her as a human being?
Her whole life she was programmed to just do do what we say, and that's how it is. And when it comes down to, and maybe this leads into this whole thing, like Lenny was saying, that it's difficult to get this sort of conservatorship going. Because, you have to prove that this person is not capable of making good decisions on their own.
Well, prior to the conservatorship, she really imploded. Her relationship with the husband.
She was the relationship with the husband, and then that weird guy.
Sam Lufty guy.
Yeah,
right.
He's coming in, and he's basically making all her decisions for her.
Right.
It was like...
They got rid of him fast, though.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no.
We got part of this money.
It was like when he came in and things started going really haywire, then they were like, all right, we got to get the courts involved.
But do you think, okay, so my question to both of you is, do you think that maybe it started in a good place but has become something maybe more nefarious?
The conservatorship?
Yeah, because I'm sure the father, I don't know. I mean...
It definitely makes the father seem like a sleazy guy. I mean, the whole thing portrayed him as not being just the best guy in the world. But like you said, I mean, yeah, she's what, 39 years old now?
39.
Yeah,
that's still young, no?
It's still young, but it's what I'm saying is it's old enough to basically have your life experiences and be able to make decisions.
Right. But she has not been afforded that, right?
But she's basically been told what to do and how to do it. And now maybe what this whole thing is with her just walking down the stage and just walking off and just maybe that was her switch coming on and being like, I can make a decision on my own.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because she chose to do that.
I'm not part of Britney Spears' inner circle, but...
Why the hell
not? Looking from the outside in, it could possibly be the first instance of
her asserting
this lifetime of programming being broken.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't think the dad is that bad. I think the dad was like, okay, you're it. The mother obviously is part of that whole subservient. Well, I don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why the mother wasn't around. Maybe she's the same.
Or the mother wasn't awarded the conservatorship because she wasn't the best one and the dad was. And that is next of kin.
Yeah.
So that also takes into play.
It's weird. I feel like as a documentary...
It sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't
that great.
It wasn't that great. It did raise a lot of questions, though. And as a story, I felt the story was fascinating, and I wish there was more to it. But I felt, as a documentary, this could have been better. So on that, I would give this like a 6, maybe.
I'd probably give it a 5, just because, one, I don't really care too much about Britney Spears. I never did. I wasn't a tabloid fanatic or anything like that, so the subject matter didn't interest me. As I watched it, it was kind of interesting just for being able to think about it and go through the whole diatribe I just went through just now about differences in artists and how some are programmed and some they make themselves, and what that possibly could lead to. And in her case, maybe if what I said is remotely accurate, maybe that's what led to her situation, going crazy and being controlled in the conservatorship. But like you said, the documentary is really not that great. I mean, it brings up some interesting tidbits of information, but it's not like it's going into any deep dives. It's not analyzing things.
No.
It's not showing me stuff that I don't recall having not seen. I mean, I remember when she was bald and hitting that car with the umbrella. That was... You couldn't not see
that, right? It was everywhere. Yeah.
It was like, enough with this girl. Who cares about Britney Spears at that point?
No.
But yeah, I'd give it I didn't hate it. I wasn't bored.
Hate it. I wasn't bored, but I also wasn't wowed by it. And I felt like it left more questions than answers, to be honest.
Yeah, it didn't really teach me anything new other than the fact that I saw the hashtag Free Britney and I had no idea what the hell it meant. And now I do. So.
What about you, Leo? What do you think?
To me, it brought up more. I felt bad for her, but I felt bad for her looking back, like.
Right, that she went through that.
That like she knew she was losing her control of everything, and she knew it quite young. I think she knew that all this was possible, and I think that's the saddest thing. And I do. And if she didn't have the money, there'd be no conservatorship, you know.
Sure.
But there has to be a point where she, even when the photographers, you know, went after her and they got that money shot with her being crazy with she took a baseball bat or something, or I don't know,
an umbrella to the guy's
an
car.
umbrella. Like, she could have said, "Get the fuck away."
Right.
But she did have this sort of relationship with the paparazzi. I think that was true. I think what he said was true. Mm-hmm. And whether he cared for her or not, or whether she was, you know, leave me alone today, no, leave me alone, period, you know. And then that's when she flipped out and then hit the car. And it's like, she said it, they didn't hear it. But today is today. And he is kind of right. Leave me alone today.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow, you know. It is implied, or it could be implied. And I hate that word because it doesn't mean, implications and meanings are not the same, you know. But I think I don't know what I think. I don't care anymore. I don't care any less about her situation, but I do, in a way, I'm concerned about what a conservatorship is and how you could be deemed insane enough to not make your own decisions, and that's a possibility. And that's a possibility for a lot of people. You know, you can't make a decision. We can't trust you. What decision? She never went on a buying spree. You know, I never known about that. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, where's the proof that she couldn't control her own money? Where's that? Like, I don't see none of that. Mm-hmm. You know, where's the proof that she made terrible decisions besides doing that? She got into like a 55-hour marriage.
I forgot about that.
But people do that all the time.
Sure.
Yeah,
well, that's the beauty of being a young person, that you could make these mistakes. But I think, unfortunately for her, because she was a celebrity, every action is more impactful because she's under that microscope, because there's always someone there with a camera to capture it. Do we do that now? I feel like I don't really follow, like, singers. I mean, not that I don't follow singers, but I don't follow the gossip of singers. I think I'm more interested in just watching movies and talking about movies. But I mean, do they still do that? Like, does paparazzi, like, harass people like this? Or since Princess Diana, did we take it back a notch?
Well, Princess Diana was before all this.
I know, but I'm saying, like, what's...
I don't think it's as big a deal now because everybody's got a goddamn camera, and
also people are throwing themselves. Like, people don't... Your privacy isn't important anymore. Mm-hmm. You say it's important, but look at people today. They're videoing every moment of their life. Here is my breakfast. Click.
Yeah. In fact, they address sort of that. Oh, sorry.
I'd love to see your breakfast because you're a good cook, Lenny.
No, but I just feel like the people are exposing themselves so much. Like, it doesn't. You get, you know. I like. Do you want to see more? Like, do I really want to see more of anybody else? No. There's nobody I'm interested in unless you're secretive.
I mean, they address they sort of address that at the end of the thing when they say basically she started her own Instagram. Mm-hmm. And why do you need paparazzi anymore if somebody has an Instagram and they're basically just posting
their life,
photos that a paparazzi could never get? Right. I mean, they're these internet celebrities and regular stuff. They're posting pictures of themselves in bikinis and having the greatest of times. And 90% of the time, I doubt these photos are just like spur of the moment things. You know,
why did she start
when I take a spur of the moment picture, it's blurry as hell, and there's like crap in the background that you don't intend to be there.
And why does she need that? Why does she need that? Like, hasn't she had enough? Come on. Like, what hasn't she had enough?
Maybe she still wants to be relevant? I don't know. I mean...
You got money. You have... What more does she want? Maybe... What more does she want?
So is it what the two podcasters said? Like, they're, I guess, scrutinizing her messages for hidden meaning? Or...
Right? Like, come on. Like, why?
Because people need something to do.
I'm like a flower. What did she say? Like, I'm a secret... You know, come on. Enough already. You said you're miserable. You said you're this. You're at a point. You walked away from everything. Now you're doing this. Like, or is she doing this already? It's like, when are we going to be fed up of this story? Like,
Yeah,
I'm fed up. As sad as it is, I'm kind of fed up. It's like, after watching that, and I'm like, wow.
But we
paid
don't
a lot of attention to her.
But we don't do this anymore, do we? I feel like I don't. Are there celebrities that we're hounding down? Like, when this was happening, it felt like Us Weekly and People Magazine and Ola and all those, like, magazines.
They were a bigger deal.
They were a bigger deal, and she was always on the cover in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, maybe is it because of technology? Because now we can just go on the internet or go on our phone and read whatever celebrity gossip.
Like I mentioned before, they all have Instagram. You don't have to hound celebrities anymore to get pictures of them or get anything about them. Because they're just putting it out online. And they're making money off it. And even other people are making money off that. You have a podcast that's listened to by hundreds of thousands of people, and the podcast is about what this other person has posted on Instagram. You're a parasitic industry.
Yeah.
And she gets none of that.
Yeah.
Britney Spears doesn't get a dime of whatever advertising they get because they read a Britney Spears post and it's like, oh, clearly she's telling us to invest in GameStop.
Right.
Buy Tesla. Yeah.
Is that doing well? I thought it was tanking.
Oh, everybody lost.
No.
Everybody lost everything.
Tesla? No.
Tesla.
Not Tesla.
I
thought you were talking about GameStop.
No, Tesla.
Oh, Tesla's doing great.
Is it?
This has nothing to do with
That's
anything.
okay. We can go on a tangent.
But I just saw something where this guy made some sort of like analysis, and if you want to really like game the stock market, just follow Elon Musk. And if he says something like a product or something, buy that product and then sell it in a half hour.
Interesting.
That's the one. I just sent it to you in a chat. That's the one.
And you'll make.
He mentioned it.
Did he?
And I'm trying to get it. And it's not. I thought it'd be easy to get. And I don't want a lot of it.
He's an influencer, I guess.
That's the thing. And like a lot of people just instantly will do what he says, and some of it is just completely irrelevant or irresponsible. But he never says buy this. He'll just say stuff like with the GameStop thing. He just said game stonks and everybody bought it. He says Dogecoin looks good. Dogecoin is a joke, and it will never go over $100 a coin because it's a joke. It's made to be easy
if you
to
buy
get.
it at 7.7 cents.
But that's the thing. It's already at the price that it's at, so it's just going to keep going up and down. You're never going to make any money off it. But
that's a lie.
He says it, and he does this with all sorts of little products and whatnot. And the way to rig it was just buy it, sell it in a half hour.
Really?
So this is kind of like tying into the Britney thing. This is why I'm here. She's an influencer as well. So whatever she says could do stuff too.
Yeah.
Like getting all these people to say free Britney. I mean, they're showing up, they're spending their time.
Right.
To
hang outside a courtroom.
To hang outside a courtroom because for some reason they feel so connected to her. I mean, some of these people were like, oh my gosh, she saved my life. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? I was at a place where, I'm looking at all her music and I'm like, none of this is...
It was fun bubblegum
surface.
Stuff. Yeah.
Nothing is like...
Yeah.
She took me, I needed her. I'm like, wow. I mean, I must have been stupid like that too, but there's nothing I see in Britney Spears' body of work that is saving my life.
Yeah.
That does not.
We live in such a weird time. Like the way we
people
idolize celebrity and just...
They need something to worship. and they're willing, like they don't have, I guess they invest so much of their identity into this other thing that it becomes more than it is. How are you going to turn away from it now? My whole life has been invested in Britney Spears or Donald Trump or Elon Musk or
but is there something that you feel about? Like, do you feel so strongly connected to something?
No,
do we all have that?
Not another human being, like outside of my family. I mean, I love my family, but that's about it.
Do you?
Yes, I do. But a celebrity, somebody who I have no personal connection to.
Oh my God, I almost drove to Jersey. If he said no.
I almost drove to Jersey. I'm like, wait, where's my earrings? Where's the Vaseline? Fight mode activated.
But like a celebrity, I mean, a lot of people, they base their whole identity on it. I mean, you've seen those people who, like, they'll mutilate their bodies to make themselves look like other people. Yeah. And what are they going to do when that person's no longer relevant? It's like, why did you do that? And they can't just be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll stop doing this. No, you've mutilated your face.
So, but I feel like celebrity has changed, because now it's not just, I mean, back in the day, like in the early Hollywood, you had the studios owned the actors and the actresses, and the studio controlled everything, whether it's press promotion, personal lives, career choices, all of that was controlled by the studios. Fast forward, now you have celebrities basically doing their own thing, right? But now you've introduced mass media, which even back in the studio days was a big deal, right? You had magazines devoted completely to the life and times of Errol Flynn. Now you have in our generation, you have outlets like all those celebrity magazines and websites now, because now you have bloggers, right, talking about, like, they even show, I can't stand him, but they show Perez Hilton, like, talking about her.
Yeah.
I can't stand him. Although I was a faithful fan of The Superficial. I always loved that celebrity website. I started my day with that every goddamn day. He was such a good
That's my only issue with you. There's some things that I don't understand, like gossip. Like you eat that of that up.
I love that. I shouldn't say love it, but I take my celebrity gossip very, very seriously.
You shouldn't. It's terrible.
You're a mess. You're a mess.
There are still actors that I will not watch because of celebrity gossip. But so now, fast forward to now, it feels like it's not just like the Hollywood system. Now you have like internet celebrities, right? And they control the narrative through their Instagram, through their YouTube channels, through whatever. I mean, you have kids playing video games that generate millions of dollars.
Or just even, they just sit there and they talk about videos that other kids have done.
I can't believe that's a thing. That's so weird to me.
It's just like, what? Why? I don't get it.
I don't get it.
And it's got like 1 million views.
How much do you get off of 1 million views, though?
I mean, a decent amount of money. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. And plus, if it's like evergreen. I mean, it's not like as though it'll go out of style because it's
the internet's forever.
It's just somebody goofing on a video.
Yeah. We have to get tired of this. There's no way.
Will we though? I mean, I feel like at the crux of it, we love being voyeurs. We love watching people implode. We love celebrity. We love these people that we put on these pedestals for whatever reason. We love being a part of that through, I guess, the news outlets and knowing, oh, you know, Harry and Meghan are having baby number 2.
Don't include me in that way, because I could not give two shits about Harry, Meghan, or any celebrity really.
Terrible.
I don't. When you start talking about celebrity gossip,
I know, it's so crazy.
I just glaze over. You say, oh, your boy's having a baby, and I'm like, who? And you'll say some actor, and I'm like, how the hell is that guy my boy?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I don't care. I treat actors the way they're supposed to be treated. You're there to entertain me, play a part. I don't want to know what's going on, who you're dating. Just dance monkey.
So what would you give this, Leo, on a scale of 1 to 10? What do you think?
A big old the documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, the movie, as I said it. I don't know. It's like I'm ready to forget it. So that's maybe a 4.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean,
Ready to forget it.
As a documentary, it wasn't really that good.
No, I feel bad for her, but
I thought it was a poor documentary.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her, but I feel that she can get out of it now, and she can.
And so she should. Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Move on. There is worse to feel bad over. Like she's not it.
Yeah, for sure.
She's not it.
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of terrible things in the world, and I'm not worried about her, and she's certainly ain't worried about me.
And she'll be all right. I mean, hopefully she'll make the right decisions, I guess, going forward. Who knows? Well, whatever.
Who knows?
It's her life.
It's her life. Honestly, if they were like, all right, Britney, you're in total control, and if she just like spent it all on like hamburgers and just threw them into the ocean and was broke and penniless, and I wouldn't care.
Oh wait, to get off on a tangent, what's the story with Taylor Swift? Do you know?
What do you mean?
God.
I'm asking Leo. What's the story with Taylor Swift? So now she's
re-recording her old songs because
she's re-releasing or re-recording them.
Re-recording them because she the person
who owns
someone owns all of her recordings. She owns her songs. I mean, she wrote them all, but all her recordings are not hers. So album by album, she's re-recording them. I don't know what that's going to do. I mean, her fan base is incredible, but that's what's happening with her because again, she didn't know better, or she thought she didn't know better, and the music business is a music business, and someone else, bought all her shit, and she can re-record it because she owns her songs. Like she's a songwriter.
Sure.
And that's the ultimate power. But as far as all those old recordings, she has to redo them all. She wants to redo them all. And Kelly Clarkson told her to do that, or suggested, from what I gather. Kelly's like, I don't understand why you're so upset. All you have to do is re-record them, and people will go buy them.
But when she re-records them, it can't be like the original. She'd have to make modifications, right, in order for it to.
Yeah, I'm sure, but like one note would justify a change. It's not going to sound. It might sound the same, but if it's re-recording, it's re-recording. And will the people buy them again?
I'm sure they would. She's got like a huge loyal
I know
fan
she's
base.
savvy. Like I know she's. I mean, she released 2 albums this year.
Did she?
Yeah, they're both folk, like very folksy. It's kind of like the same. She's slick because I think she's run into a wall of. The reason why she's genre hopping now is because it's the same stuff, but now we're going to give you the same way, the same lyrical phrasing, but we're going to do it in folk. Like I won't be surprised if she does a disco album. like she went from country, which I love her country stuff, and she went to pop, and I love her pop stuff. I think she's a great songwriter. I think she's concise. I think she knows how to write a song that's easy to hear and it's smart. But I think she's run into a wall about, okay, now she hit the pop, then she went toward this folk thing. But literally you hear the same da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and she'll do it in every other song she got. But that's the whole thing. She has to re-record all her stuff. All her stuff before Lover. And yes, I know all the albums.
Good
her
for
album
you.
Lover.
I don't follow her. She's not in my radar.
No, I liked her. I always liked her. I liked her when she first came out. And I remember in my old volleyball days, somebody says, "Oh, I love Taylor Swift." And I said, yeah, that song Teardrops on My Guitar, which is a really pretty song. But she was like 14 when she wrote that.
Wow.
And now,
And she's in her late 20s now, right? Mid to late 20s?
yeah, she's approaching, 1989. No, maybe she's 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was born in 89. 99.
I could see that making sense.
32.
I could see that making sense, re-recording everything in regards to like licensing in the future.
Right, because somebody else is taking her money.
Yeah, because whoever owns the recordings, they're the
right.
ones who are licensing out the versions of the song that you hear in a commercial.
And that's money.
And that's money.
That's serious
that's
money.
Big money. Movies, commercials, everything. And she's probably getting a fraction of what she should be getting. So, but if she records a new version of it,
hear Sabotage one more time.
if she records her own version and that's the version that gets licensed by the companies, and if that's how it's going to be going forward, she stands to make money for the. I mean, she would never. I mean, she probably never has to work another day in her life again. But for generations of her family to come, it's.
The other interesting thing about her, and again, I don't know too much about Taylor Swift because I think like I don't know. I don't know her from Adam, and my kids don't give a shit about her, but I feel like she sort of pulled herself out of the limelight. No? Or am I wrong?
She knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, she knows, okay, shut off. Like, she'll turn all her shit off and go away. Mm-hmm. And you don't hear from her, and everybody's like, where is she? Mm-hmm. And her fans are like, okay, she's going away for a reason. They love her. She has a very interesting, like, the stars that are successful now feel very connected to their audience. Mm-hmm. Like the like stars Gaga. Are very like Lady Gaga is like, she puts, I mean, I'm sure she's very calculated on what she's willing to share, mm-hmm. but it feels like a lot. She's sharing a lot, mm-hmm. and they feel closer. And Taylor is also one of these people that you feel like you're her best friend, mm-hmm. and she does stuff, and she's very calculating. It's like, oh, I'm gonna invite these 20 girls to do. Random girls, or girls that are her fans are like, she would call them up and go, okay, meet me here in London, I'll pay for you, and we'll just listen to my album. And it becomes like a big event. Yeah, like she's slick. Like it's like, but that it feels very like but it also feels personal.
But it also feels like she's in charge.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely. But that's the change now. It's like they're not
beholden.
It's harder to get control. Mm-hmm. Because of these, like the Googles and the YouTubes and all this, the YouTubes and all this stuff. But I think they know, the younger people know how to navigate this really well.
Yeah, for sure. So they can be their own kind of like media promotion. They don't have to rely on somebody else. And when they want to turn it off, I guess they can.
Like I watch a woman eat spicy chicken wings, and I go back to this video whenever I'm like not feeling right, like I'm a little upset. And I'll watch this video and her ridiculous reaction eating the hottest spicy wild wing out there, and her trying to survive this event, Is
that Hot Wings YouTube show?
No.
There's a whole, oh my God, people eat hot stuff. Like,
oh wait, is that what you're talking about? I love that.
It's like Hot Takes or
Hot Takes. The guy, the bull guy.
He interviews people while they eat
hot wings.
Increasingly hot chicken wings.
That's amazing. The Paul Rudd one is my favorite.
The one I liked was what's that girl? She's really big now. Green hair. Well, what's her name?
Billie Eilish?
Get that young, yeah. I was like, get that young girl. She knows who Billie Eilish is. Yeah, she was on this wing. She was, oh my God, why do we do this to ourselves? But she couldn't stop because she loves it. And they have to interview her.
It's interesting that you brought her up. Like, what's the story with her? She is now a very young person coming into this industry, but I feel like she's had to be like the patron saint of body imaging now. What is going on with her?
Well, why she's so successful is her and her brother are pretty much a team. Mm-hmm. Like she does the writing, but he's quite good. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they could do that first album in her house, in her bedroom, and it's brilliant and it's good. Mm-hmm. So it's not just her per se, but she's kind of like the antithesis of what Britney Spears would be coming up. Like she's like rude and gross but she's smart and caring, but she's a whole different animal. And this whole body shaming thing, she's, I guess somebody said something about her body, and she just kind of flipped it on its own head. She's responded in such a way where people are like completely backing her because she said it in a certain way. Like she's actually quite like smart at it too. Like they've been so immersed in this, these youngins, that they know how to navigate.
Yeah.
They should know how to navigate. So we're sitting here teaching children how to be good citizens online.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're learning in school. Mm-hmm. Like to cover, you don't put everything online, you don't do this, you don't do that. Like that is being learned in our school.
Sure.
So they know how to navigate this stuff at a very young age, and they see. So she's very like, but she's a whole other world because it's her and her brother are a musical team. He's a musician on his own right, but he's not good without her, and she's not that much good without him, because they're a co-writing team. I mean, she's the voice of it, but they're a team, and that's cool to have your best friend, brother, sister, to actually co-write with you and to go through this process, because she's never really alone in it. But it's a whole different world.
And then you have like the Lizzo thing. Like, she got shamed because of how she looks, right? She dresses too provocatively to be for someone that size, and now I think she's losing weight, and now people are against that, which is like, it's like you can't. Adele, yes. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, what did she do?" I'm like, but she lost weight, which is a good thing because you want to be healthy.
She's healthier, yeah.
Yeah. So why is that a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because, and I don't agree, but I feel that it's a bad thing because she was more relatable overweight, like grossly overweight. Adele. Like, oh, here's this wonderful obese woman who actually can make it. And you look at all us Americans, and what, 79% of us are overweight, and a huge chunk of that is obese, and a huger chunk is severely obese. So you're like, oh, she's one of us. And you look at her, and she's still her. Like, she's funny, she's quirky, but she's thinner.
Yeah.
And they're all like, oh, like as long as she sounds like a fat girl, we don't care. Like, I saw this online.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, we're never gonna survive this whole thing. People are just horrible.
Yeah. Who else gets shamed for that? I forget. Adele. There's Lizzo. Somebody else too. Oh, Rebel Wilson too, right? Didn't people come after her? And she's trying to lose weight because as an actress. I remember, and I always bring up my spiritual mother, Cher. I remember when they said that she removed a rib because she was so thin. Like, she's naturally a thin woman. Always. Always. She never, I mean, she was healthy, but she never, they said she removes a rib. Do you remember? You don't remember that? No. Cher removed a rib. That's why she stays so thin. Like, this is the stuff that used to go around. So it never really goes away. The shaming never really goes away. It never does, especially against women. Why is that? Like, the men aren't held to this standard, right? Well, this is why men do it less to each other, and women, and you know this, you've told it to me very well, that women turn on each other first. Sure, they do. But it's weird, right? Because it's like, but why does the media attack? Like, there's all this. It's easy. You already got half of you going against each other. The guys are already doing it. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I think I mentioned it before, but the media or the fans or whatever, the treatment of men and women, it's almost like we own the women. You are our possession. You must look pretty. You must be this way, or we don't like it. And guess what? Even if you do everything right, you're still criticized. There's a big chunk of us who still want to see you fall down. Ruined. We want to see you showing your ass and sucks to be a woman. Whereas the men, oh, look how distinguished he looks. Look at salt and pepper. He's getting on in years. He's getting on in years, but he's looking rugged, or some nonsense like that. Yeah. Dad bod is so sexy. Where's mom bod? You know, you're never gonna see that. Hashtag mom bod. It's the double standard.
Yeah, you know what? It's absolutely right, because women aren't allowed to do that. Because once they have those babies, they got to hit the gym so they can get back into
That's the thing. I own you. You're not allowed to do that. Whereas men, it's like, oh man, he's this virile, powerful man. I wish I was like him, but with the woman, it's like I wish I could have her.
Well, how about Janet Jackson hiding her marriage? Do you remember she hid her marriage
to
somebody? She was married, and she didn't tell anybody she was married.
Years, right?
Because of that.
But they're not married anymore. Right?
No, I don't know, but okay. she hid her marriage. Like
crazy.
Well, wasn't that like a big thing, like for like all celebrities? You had to hide your relationship or your sexual status because
your marriage, though. Your marriage.
Yeah.
There's no.
Marriage is pretty severe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but there is this idea of attainability. A woman gets married, there goes her career. A woman has a baby, goodbye.
She's wrecked.
You know?
Used goods.
Mm-hmm. Used goods.
But is it the same with the men? I feel like with men, too. In celebrity, I can't think of anybody right now, but also I feel like men have had to hide relationships because then they wouldn't be as saleable as a married man.
I think that was like a big thing with homosexuality. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the gay actors from back in the day, they absolutely had to hide that.
Yeah,
but not just gay actors. I feel like any kind of marriage, because then you couldn't appeal to like the teeny bop fan base. Because if you go in,
I think it was way worse. Yeah, I agree. It was way worse for a woman.
Worse for women, but I think there's also a tinge of that with the men.
But no, because the man it was just like, oh, man about town. Look, he's got a different girl on his arm every night. A man was able to just like do whatever. He's with this one. He's with this one, and look what happened in the documentary. Right. It was. Oh, she broke his poor little heart. Oh. I wish I could be with him now. Meanwhile, who the hell knows what really happened? I mean, they're celebrities. Celebrities sleep around with everybody.
All she had to do was turn around and say, like, and today with Fly, his penis was too small. And that...
He didn't know how to use it.
Yeah, if she just said that, like, if that was...
It was like a thimble.
But it's like, if they're going to come after you...
You gotta go hard.
I'm not a star. I mean, yo, that penis was like. This is why I fucked that other guy. I fucked that other guy because his penis was 2 inches.
But yeah, I mean, but I don't think she ever. Just to go back to the documentary, even though Justin said all those things about her, she never went after him, did she?
Yeah, because you can't.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't think so.
They didn't. If it did happen, they didn't address it in that documentary. That's for sure.
But my recollections can be hazy, but I don't ever feel like she went after him the way he went after her.
She didn't release a song with that.
Yeah.
That video that made her look.
Yeah, that video looked like her too.
Yeah, and then remember when Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise's marriage broke apart? He was vocal about, oh, she knows what she did, kind of thing.
I barely knew they were even married, so yeah.
But I feel like she never addressed it, and she was never afforded the opportunity to address it. And now it's like so after the fact, nobody cares. But it's always interesting how we paint the woman as, I guess, the Eve, right? What did you do wrong?
I mean, yeah, that's an old thing. I mean, even like if I'm talking to my mom and like somehow something comes up with something that happened to a woman or a relationship breaking up with a woman and a man, it's what'd you do?
Yeah.
What'd she do?
What'd she do?
What'd she do?
Yeah.
Of course.
It's like an old.
It's definitely
these old mindsets. They're still there. I mean, they're fading as we march on, but they're still there. The old
blame
gender roles and
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it is opening. Look where our conversations went off of Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Or we're just ridiculous. I don't know if it's, but look at where we went with all this, you know.
But I feel like the documentary was weak, but I think the conversations that you can have from this documentary are interesting as someone who lived during that time and then looking at that stuff. And I think I mentioned to you, like, the thing that I always remembered was that Craig Ferguson monologue where he was basically like, we're not discussing this girl again. This is a girl who's hurting.
He was the only one who had some empathy for her.
Yeah. And he basically was like, listen, we've all seen these pictures. We've all seen the videos. It's terrible. As someone who was an alcoholic, that's a cry for help. And I hope that somebody addresses that. But on my show, we are never going to use her as a punchline. And I thought that was very gallant of him and lovely and kind. And I've always liked Craig Ferguson. So, but to have someone who has that platform to make that decision, no, this is the line in the sand. We don't cross this. We're going to have a little empathy, compassion, dignity for this woman and not use her.
There are few and far between.
There are very few and far between, though. Yeah.
You know, who else is going to do that today?
Yeah.
Forever. Because as history has shown, somebody had asked me about our country and it being whatever happened with the Trump case that went through the Senate and the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, I really believe there are more good people in this world. And I said, no. I said flat out no. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, no, it's 50-50.
Well, technically, the guys that voted to condemn or convict Trump represent 70% of the population, even though it's a little bit like 50-50 in the representation as far as like people in the Senate. Those people in the Senate represent way more on the left than they do on the right.
But it's like the Electoral College. How is it that the majority doesn't win this?
Because way back in the day, the slave-owning states they wanted to have equal representation, but unfortunately, half their populations weren't allowed to vote.
Right.
No, that's part of it. But what they needed was the South to stay united to fight off England. So the South was like, no. The South has always been a pain in the ass.
For sure.
So they even the first president of the United States came. You would have thought that he would have come from New York because that was the center of everything.
Right.
They had to pick somebody from Virginia, and that's how even George Washington. And I didn't know this as soon as I found out he was from Virginia because I teach fourth grade. Was like, wow, that's why he got. It wasn't because he was great or anything. They needed somebody Southern or Southern-ish to get those people on his side, and it was like the only reason why they catered to the South so much was through this electoral college. And yeah, he's right about like half of their people can vote because they were on the plantations, but they were like, well, we need you to finance anything that's going to help fight the war. And without the South, but they had to cater to them. That's really the birth of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's terrible. 50. Oh my God, Britney Spears to Trump. How did this happen?
I don't know. It's been an interesting conversation, though.
Yeah, but Britney does open a whole bunch of doors, and
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would recommend this movie just for the conversations you could have after the fact. But as far as a piece of filmmaking, as far as an actual documentary goes, a lot of loose ends, a lot of holes. I mean, it's nicely filmed. It's got a lot of archival stuff that's interesting to go back to as someone who lived during that time. Like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. But as an actual documentary piece, it left a lot to be desired. Although I do think that the conversations that people can have because of this film are probably way more interesting than the actual viewing experience.
Yeah, I mean, at least in this case.
Free her.
Free Britney. And so that's it from us. I guess we're going to wrap it up. And thank you again to my darling Uncle Leo, who I love immensely.
Yes, and I'm glad I got to see the Munchkin. She made a showing, and I know she's like her uncle in a lot of ways, where she just needs attention.
Yes,
I know her very well. And she really looks like you, like
she
more
does.
and more.
I know. It was funny. I was in my Wednesday night film discussion class, and she came and she hugged me, and the guy was like, "That kid's a dead ringer for you." I was like, "Really? Is she?"
Yeah. As the older she gets, definitely.
She is
like,
more me than I care to admit.
I knew that. I knew that right away. Yeah, I mean, she's stubborn, but I know exactly who she got that from. No. I know exactly where she got it from. The trickiness, all of it. She is your Venom. I got it.
How dare you?
I know that little girl inside out because I know you inside out. I know when you lie. And you told your daughters that story.
I did.
Right? Isn't she cute? She knows how cute she is. Yes, little girl. You're beautiful.
Treasure.
All right, well, I'm going to go.
You got to do your chores. Get out. Scat. Both of you.
She's so big.
I know. She's going to be 10. Double digits. I'm not looking forward to it. That's it from us. It's a wrap. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.